Good Thursday morning. There was a point last night where I bailed on the Mets. I will admit it. I'm not ashamed to admit it. The way that this season has gone, I was done. And I watched the Mark Vientos home run. I watched the guy on Twitter that does the Vientos jingle do a essentially live Vientos Mentos jingle, and then I had a smile on my face, kept watching the game. In the top half of the next inning, here come the Rays again. They hit a 2-run homer, and they're up 4-2, just like that. SNY shows a video of several people leaving Citi Field, and I said, you know what? That's a great idea. So I turned the Mets off, and that was that. And then this morning, when I wake up and I roll over and I see what happened, I'm happy for once. I am happy. It's the start of something, maybe, I don't know, but that was tremendous, and the guys who did it last night were tremendous. Vientos, Alvarez, and of course the man Pete Alonso with the walk-off. Yankees can't get anything done offensively last night. We'll get into them as well. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good. An old friend, Chris Bassett, held the Yankees down last night, but I was going to say I was with you. I was going to eviscerate the Mets this morning, saying how they were getting schooled by the Tampa Bay Rays in every which way. And by the way, the Mets bullpen did not do a good job. And when you have your high leverage guys finally get a chance to come into a high leverage situation, they all imploded. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why we're sitting here and we're extolling the virtues of Vientos and Alvarez and Alonso, because it was all offense. It had nothing to do with the pitching except for Kodai Senga, who did pitch a really good game. And, Tampa Bay did strike out quite a bit. But I still say that, they win this game. Is this a kickoff spot? Is this
kickoff spot?
Is it something to, pivot spot, a change of direction? I don't know. But they
catalyst spot.
But they need to win today, and they have a 1:00 start or 1:10 start today with Tyler and McGill on the mound.
Yep.
If they go out and they get hammered today, last night means nothing. I mean, I feel great about the way that the game ended and the fact that they came back 3 different times to tie the game and then ultimately win the game with the third time with Pete Alonso's home run. But you're going to sit here and tell me that bullpen was good last night? They were horrendous.
Yeah, they were, and that's been a big problem. Well, they've got a lot of big problems.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Starting pitching.
They had Ottavino come in, boom, runs given up.
Yep.
They had Robertson come in at the end of the game, boom, runs given up.
Yep.
I mean, in the middle of all of this hysteria, because it was great to watch what did ultimately happen, because this never happens.
Well, it hasn't happened this year,
very rarely ever happens. I mean, come on, 2 back-to-back 3-run home runs in the bottom of the 9th, the bottom of the 10th? That never happens.
No, not like that.
Usually when the Mets hit home runs, nobody's on base.
Right, not like that, especially this year. They did have a number of comebacks last year, and we were always impressed that they were never out of a game. But, yeah, you're right. That back-to-back 3-run homers in the 9th and the 10th to tie and then win the game is amazing. There you go. Previous 81 games, 0-81. Trailing by 3+ runs entering the bottom of the 9th.
I'm just more concerned about the pitching and the bullpen. I mean, they were horrendous. Every single one of them.
Sure, they were, and there's 2 ways you can look at it. There's that way, and there's the way of this was the first time that we've really seen some life out of this team and respond to the adversity like they did last year. One of the few times, and in a spot where they really, really needed it. Because as you said, you were ready to eviscerate them this morning, and it went the other way. And the fact that Vientos, who was called up to give some life, provided that. That Francisco Alvarez, the number 1 prospect in baseball, provided it. That Pete Alonso, the guy who needs to be your leader and MVP, provided it. So those things were all positive. But yes, this team is not all of a sudden a good team now because of last night. We understand that.
Right.
But they needed this. I mean, what would the alternative be? We would be just killing them all day long. Mets fans would be screaming and yelling, and at least for one night, they staved off of that.
Well, offensively, yes.
Yeah.
Offensively, yes.
Well, Kodai Senga, it was really just the bullpen. Bullpen was the only problem last night.
I mean, but the interesting thing, one night it's the starting pitching, Verlander.
Yeah.
The next night they can't get any hits. Then the bullpen comes in and they practically blow the game. I mean, I'm charged up and I'm happy, and it was you don't see it like a lot. And the fact that they came back and they hit the home runs, and the two young kids were involved in all of it, is great. It's one game. And if they come back and they poop the bed today, what good is last night?
Well, that means that
they got to win. They got to start putting wins together. They got to start, taking the momentum. But again, it comes down to pitching. You know that, and I know that. And here we go. What's going to happen today?
Well, Tyler McGill is going to go out there, and hopefully he's going to be better than he has been. I mean, of course, this team is still 6.5 games out of first place. It's 7 games in the loss column. There's still 2 games under 500. Yeah, there are major issues with the team. It's just that, to not get completely wiped out in this series. You tell me all the time it's all about one game, it's all about one pitch, and
win this game, win this series.
Right,
and that's today's game. Win it today. And win the series against the Major League Baseball's best team.
Yeah.
And by the way, Major League Baseball's best team also has major relieving problems, as we saw against the Yankees, and now we're seeing against the Mets.
Sure. That is an Achilles heel for them, 100%. So there's always going to be, in the course of a baseball season, these moments where it's a positive moment. You say, are we going to look back on that as the time where the team took off? There's the negative moments where a team will blow a lead and say, oh, well, that was the game where everything started unraveling. More often than not, it's not just the one game that gets a team going. One game to get a team going, it's not that. It's several games in a row. It's a series. It's several great starts in a row. And I do think that another positive that you take from last night is that's the best we've seen Kodai Senga. He had them completely confused the entire night, a ton of strikeouts, everything was working. And if you can get him to be consistent like that takes a lot of pressure off of the other two guys, and you've got a third solid option, especially with the way that the back end of the rotation has been and so pathetic. And you get Carrasco back, and hopefully he's healthy and gives you something. But, God, he was so bad prior to the IL stint. But that, to me, is if things are going to start turning around, the offense has to stay consistent, and obviously the starting pitching has to be better, and you got both of those things last night.
Well, yeah, and you also got the home runs. The Vientos home run was great. It was great. It was a little bit of adventure at third base, I would say.
Yeah, well, he came up for his bat. That was the deal.
I know.
Came up for his bat.
But, I don't know what to tell you. I was, ready to kill these guys, and I'm happy I don't have to, but I also have to keep it real. Yeah. We like to keep it real, and you look at the line items or the line scoring for the bullpen, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, they stink. They've been bad, and everybody's got bullpen problems, I feel like, in Major League Baseball. It's just what degree are your problems? And last night the Mets' problems were huge in that regard. But, with the young guys, when you struggle early on in the season, there's only a couple of things that you can change. And one of those things is to bring guys up, like the Mets have. That's what you could do. You can't make big trades prior to the trade deadline. It never happens. Teams always think they're in it. You're not going to be able to find somebody in April or May that you can trade for. So what can you do? You can dip into your minor league system. You can call guys up. And whether it's been Beatty, Alvarez, or Vientos, one reason or another, injury or lack of production, all three of these guys are up. They're all three of them.
I think every Met fan should be happy about that, and every single one of us wanted it to happen coming out of spring training.
And they need them. Yeah. And this is, and I like the fact that they need them. And this is not just let's call them up and ease them in. This is let's call them up, and we need you to give some life and some energy into this team. And you did see it. Alvarez was as fired up as you could possibly be. The Vientos home run, everybody in the dugout's going nuts. Including Justin Verlander, who's seen it all in his 39, 40 years that he's been on this planet and pitching in Major League Baseball for a majority of that. He's getting into it. So I do think there is something, even though it's sort of a cliche about the young guys injecting energy into the clubhouse. But I really felt that last night. For a team that's been lifeless and dead and needed something, those guys provided that. And it's got to be consistent. If this team turns around, it's going to be, of course, on the backs of the stars, the two big starting pitchers, Alonso and Lindor. But a lot of it's going to be how those guys perform. How many times we talked about other organizations, the Atlanta Braves, who call guys up every single year and they turn into mainstays, and then 2 months later they sign them to a 10-year contract. The Mets don't have those guys. They haven't had those guys.
Well, maybe
and
they
right
do.
now they do. And right now they do. So there's pressure on them, but I love the fact that there's pressure. And this season could be defined by the performances of those guys.
I just want to see them win today. I mean, they don't have a lot of time to celebrate last night. It's a quick turnaround. It's a 1-10 game today. And, you have, coming off of last night, somehow, some way, you got to win today's game. Somehow. Sure. I don't care. You just got to win it. You got to build momentum. I mean, if Tyler McGill goes out there and, Paredes hits like a 3-run bomb in the first inning, it's like, oh, come on. And everything last night is wiped out.
It's not wiped out because if you would have lost the game, it would have been worse. So it's not totally wiped out.
Win the series, win the game. Win this one, start getting serious, and let's go.
Start getting serious. You don't think they've been serious up until this point?
They've been listless.
Yeah, I know. And you do have the Guardians after that over the weekend. And then you go to Chicago and Colorado. But, it's looking at these games. And
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter
for them,
with the
it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. I mean, there's no stretch. We can't do the Boomer look-ahead schedule game anymore because there's no such thing. We tried to do it. I tried to do it with that stretch that they had against the Rockies and the Nationals and so the Tigers. And so this is where you're going to do it. If you're going to start stacking wins, it's going to be against these terrible teams. And all they did was lose those series, get swept. It was an embarrassment.
Well, we'll see if this is a launching off point.
Launching off point.
All right, we'll see. We will see that. And I don't know. I worry about the realities of what I saw last night.
Yeah.
And I love the home runs, and I love the passion, and I love the fact that they were able to do back-to-back bottom of the 9th and 10th 3-run homers to win. Great. Awesome. Got to pitch, dude. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they had to come back 3 different times in this game.
But they did. It's amazing to me that I'm actually being the more positive one this morning than you about this.
Well,
but that's okay.
I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to come in and eviscerate them.
And it's almost like you wanted to do that.
You know what? Because
it's almost you're disappointed that you didn't get a chance to kill him. That's the vibe I'm getting from you right now.
I know. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
And I want to be happy, and I want to be okay. This is it. Then 1 o'clock comes today.
Why don't you go over to the game today? Why don't you sit in the front row and scream at him and go, "Let's go! Time to get serious!" right after the show, go over there, pop into the clubhouse, get a credential. Let's go, guys. You lose this one. Hey, Tyler, if you're going to get bombed today, everything that happened last night means jack. Let's get serious. You could do that. You could do that if you wanted to. The opportunity's there for you.
Yeah, you
could walk right in there.
Right.
You could stroll right in there.
Stroll right in.
You could. I mean, being you and being Boomer, you could walk right in there. Hey, Boomer, you want to talk to the team? Yeah, no problem. I'll give him a little pep talk. Why not? I think you should. And by the way, did you see the Aaron Judge celebration, if you will, or gesture after he got that single last night where he was on first base and looked back and covered his eyes? Did a little cover your eyes celebration last night, which I thought, and here it is.
Oh, there it is.
On CBS Sports Network, because this was a prime game. So he covers his eyes.
Did you see what happened to YouTube TV last night?
What happened to YouTube TV?
Yeah,
I don't know. Al's got YouTube TV. I
right.
don't. Did something happen with YouTube TV?
I don't think Al was probably watching YouTube TV at this, but the last 4 minutes of the Heat Celtic game on YouTube TV. Now, it's on TNT.
You don't think Al was watching that?
No, I don't think it was. So, the game's on TNT. So if you have TNT and you're watching it cable-wise, you have no problems.
Yeah.
But if you're like Al and you have YouTube TV and you've cut the cord and you're watching it, the last 4.5 minutes of the game last night between the Heat and the Celtics went dark.
That's not good.
No.
I think there's a lot of people calling up their cable company going, "I'm sorry."
No, it's not. Well, maybe. Or there's a lot of people calling up YouTube TV complaining about this. And the other thing about this, remember, who has the NFL
Sunday
package?
ticket, yep.
Sunday ticket.
Is now going to be YouTube.
YouTube TV.
So you're not going to – that happens with the NFL. It's really bad when it happens at a conference finals in the NBA. If it happens at a big NFL game.
Any NFL game.
Well, I mean, if it's like, Jaguars, Panthers or something.
Well, Jaguars, Panthers would be Trevor Lawrence versus Bryce Young. That's a huge game now.
That's not a huge game. Hey, come on. Panthers are going to
That's a huge game.
All right, I'll give you the Cardinals.
Bucks,
yeah. Cardinals, Bucks.
Yeah.
If that, nobody would care. They'd thank YouTube TV for it going dark.
So, but I wonder if that game goes dark, does it affect every other game? And I was reading about this whole thing and some TV rag talking about they're using a different technology.
TV rag?
Yeah. It's some TV, somebody who covers it.
Okay.
I don't know. They do for their living,
Yeah.
And they were using some technology that they think is what set the thing off.
They're using some technology?
They were using a technology that I don't think TNT had ever used before.
Oh.
And they were trying to sync the technology up, and it sunk the broadcast.
Wow.
Because they didn't sync it up.
This is
interesting. You got to sync things up, man. You got to realize you don't know how many buttons and wires and things, some are wireless. I mean, all this nonsense going on.
Got to sync it up.
I mean, so yeah, if Al were watching the Heat and Celtics last night, the last 4 minutes or so, on YouTube TV, he would have been very upset.
I'm so mad at myself because I saw how big of an underdog Miami was, not only in Game 1 but for the series, and I was thinking, man, that doesn't feel right.
It doesn't jive, man.
Doesn't jive. But then I didn't bet it because I started saying to myself, you're judging this wrong. They beat the Knicks. You've been watching Miami with a different eye because they matched up well, and basically Spoelstra out-coached Thibodeau, the stars didn't show, all the things we talked about in the series, other than Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett didn't get enough out of those guys. So you are overrating Miami, and then the rest of the world thinks that Boston's going to wipe the floor clean with them. And then, of course, Game 1, here comes Miami, and they win it. And I'm like, damn it.
I don't know if you saw
trusted myself.
Jason Tatum had a weird game last night. It was like he was off. Like there was something going on. Like he did some things last night he wouldn't have done back in 8th grade on the basketball court.
Well, that Miami defense can be very frustrating.
Yes.
And there's going to be some adjustments that are made in that series, and maybe that'll benefit Boston. But it's really not a surprise to me that Miami got off to a good start.
Kind of ticks me off that the Knicks aren't here playing.
Well, obviously.
The Knicks could have beaten Boston. But in order to beat Boston, they had to beat Miami.
And they didn't.
No, they didn't.
One step at a time. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Quick break, and we'll get Jerry in here with his first update of the day. You'll hear all the exciting calls last night from Howie and Keith Rad and Gary Cohen and all of that good stuff. Keep it right here. We'll be right back right after this.